Who will win the battle? The ongoing feud between Harley-Davidson and Donald Trump. Harley-Davidson is using that as an excuse, and I don't like that. I think the people who ride Harleys are not happy with Harley-Davidson, and honestly, I wouldn't be either. The tension between Harley-Davidson and former U.S. President Donald Trump has become one of the most talked about conflicts in recent history. Often referred to as the battle of the century, many people are left wondering who will come out on top in this ongoing feud. Will Trump's policies and influence force the company to back down? Or will Harley-Davidson continue to push forward despite the political and economic pressure? With both sides refusing to budge, how will this chaos finally unfold? For over a century, Harley-Davidson has been an iconic motorcycle manufacturer representing freedom, rebellion, and the open road. However, recent years have not been kind to the company. Harley-Davidson Inc. HOG has been struggling with declining sales, with an 18% drop in stock value in a single year. On top of that, Donald Trump has made the company one of his primary targets, using it as an example in his push for strong trade policies. This is where the controversy begins. Trump, in his usual bold and direct style, called on Harley-Davidson to build its motorcycles in the United States, urging the company not to get cute by moving production overseas. However, the company argues that it was left with no choice after the European Union significantly raised tariffs on U.S.-made motorcycles in response to Trump's own tariffs on European steel and aluminum. In June 2018, the EU increased tariffs from 6% to 31%, making it nearly impossible for Harley-Davidson to remain competitive in one of its biggest markets. The company stated that in order to maintain affordability for its European customers, it had to shift some of its production outside the U.S. Harley-Davidson CEO Matthew Levitic defended the decision, refuting claims that the company had planned this move long before Trump's tariffs were enacted. He pushed back against accusations from union leaders that the company was simply using tariffs as an excuse to offshore production. In an interview with NPR, Levitic insisted that international manufacturing was necessary for Harley's long-term survival. However, Harley-Davidson's decisions haven't just sparked political controversy, they've also led to major criticism regarding the company's business strategy. Many Americans were angered by the closure of Harley's Kansas manufacturing plant, especially since Trump's tax cuts were supposed to encourage companies to invest in domestic jobs. Instead, Harley used the tax savings to benefit shareholders, drawing backlash from both employees and consumers. The controversy goes beyond business strategy. It strikes at the heart of what it means to be a truly American brand. When Trump took office in 2017, he praised Harley-Davidson as a symbol of American manufacturing and strength. But by 2018, when the company announced its decision to move some of its production abroad, Trump changed his tone completely. He accused Harley-Davidson of giving up on American workers and warned that this move would mark the beginning of the end for the company. In a heated Twitter post, Trump wrote, "A Harley-Davidson should never be built in another country, never." However, the truth is, Harley-Davidson has been manufacturing motorcycles overseas for decades. Since 1998, the company has had factories in Thailand, Brazil, and India, and it even had a facility in Australia before deciding to close it due to weak demand. The company clarified that the motorcycles built outside the U.S. are not intended for American consumers. They are meant to be sold in international markets, where high tariffs make it impractical to export from the U.S. According to CEO Matthew Levitic, these investments in international production are necessary for the company's survival. He explained to CNBC, "We've invested in international manufacturing over the last 20 years because certain markets have trade and tariff situations that make it impossible for us to compete without those investments." He further emphasized that without these efforts, Harley-Davidson would struggle to reach new customers. Trump's tariffs, which were meant to encourage companies to invest in American jobs, ironically made things harder for Harley-Davidson. In 2017, the company's U.S. sales dropped by 8.5%, while international sales fell by 3.9%. The company has struggled to attract younger buyers as its core audience continues to age. David Beckel, an analyst from AllianceBernstein, compared Harley-Davidson's struggles to those of Cadillac or Mercedes-Benz, suggesting that younger generations no longer view the brand as exciting or aspirational. Faced with declining sales in the U.S., Harley-Davidson has shifted its focus to international markets. The company aims to increase foreign sales to 50% of total revenue. One key strategy is introducing smaller, more affordable motorcycles ranging from 200 to 500 cc in India, a market dominated by Royal Enfield, with disposable incomes rising. In India, Harley-Davidson sees an opportunity to attract a new generation of riders before it's too late. If the company wants to survive another century, it may have to sacrifice the Made in America label to remain competitive. Despite all this turmoil, Harley-Davidson remains one of the most recognizable brands in the motorcycle world. The company is even known for trademarking the distinctive potato sound of its V-twin engine, while some patents protect the unique 45-degree slanted engines that create this signature sound. Harley-Davidson has embraced it so fully that it even has a conference room named Potato at its Milwaukee headquarters. Financially, Harley-Davidson's revenue of $5.64 billion in 2017 was a drop in the bucket compared to the U.S.'s $5 trillion global trade economy. In India, its market share was even smaller, with total exports in the 500cc plus category reaching just 5.96 million. However, Trump turned this small issue into a major political scandal, falsely claiming that India was allowed to export thousands of motorcycles to the U.S. while Harley faced 100% tariffs on its bikes in India. In reality, in 2016-2017, only 2,440 Harley motorcycles were exported to India, and only 80 of them were above 500 cc. Despite being presented with facts from Harley-Davidson itself, Trump continued to push his narrative. New Delhi even attempted to provide him with an information sheet explaining the minimal impact of Harley's tariffs compared to overall U.S.-India trade. But Trump refused to back down, likely because Harley-Davidson's core customers were a key part of his political base. Trump had promised that his trade war would lead to easy wins, but instead, he found himself entangled in a situation where no one, not even Harley-Davidson, wanted to escalate the conflict. The company's decision to move some of its production overseas was simply a business necessity, but Trump viewed it as a betrayal. In June 2018, Harley-Davidson announced that it would be shifting some production abroad to avoid the steep tariffs imposed by the European Union. Trump, furious, unleashed a series of tweets attacking the company, accusing it of raising the white flag and warning that they would face serious consequences. He even threatened to impose additional taxes if Harley-Davidson continued with its plan. In one tweet, Trump stated, "Never, ever should a Harley-Davidson be constructed in a foreign nation. Their staff and clients are already furious with them." He later added that if Harley-Davidson moved production overseas, it would be the start of the end for the company. Trump also attempted to frame himself as a champion of American businesses, claiming that he had previously reprimanded Harley-Davidson executives for high tariffs in countries like India. However, he failed to acknowledge that Harley's entry into the Indian market was part of a deal struck between former President George W. Bush and Indian Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, which allowed Indian mangoes to be exported to the U.S. in exchange for Harley-Davidson motorcycles. As the feud continues, neither Trump nor Harley-Davidson seems willing to back down. While Trump remains determined to punish the company for moving jobs overseas, Harley-Davidson is equally committed to expanding its international presence. The company sees globalization as the key to its future, while Trump sees it as a betrayal of American values, with both sides standing firm. One question remains: who will have the last laugh? Will Harley-Davidson's gamble pay off, or will Trump's threats ultimately hurt the company? As the battle rages on, what do you think will happen next?